ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alicia Sutander and I'm a 15-year-old Indonesian student. I can't believe that I have the amazing opportunity to give this talk to you here today. You see, 3 years ago, my English teacher showed us Adoras Vitak's TED Talk on how parents should learn from children. She was only 12 years old, yet her words were full of certainty and strength. As I watched the video, out of the corner of my eye, I could see my English teacher staring right at me. I turned to him and this is what he said. "This is right up your alley, Alicia. This could be you someday." I stared at him, dumbfounded. You see, at that time, I was a quiet girl who barely even spoke in class, and he was telling me I could give a TED Talk. No way! However, my disbelief wasn't just due to my natural tendency to be quiet. It was also due to the culture my country has. In my country, Indonesia, we have a culture of respect that demands silence. Silence and submission is encouraged and sometimes even required. But before I go on to delve deeper into the culture of my country, let me tell you more about Indonesia itself. Indonesia is a country with 17,000 islands. It has the largest economy in Southeast Asia, with the 16th largest economy in the world. PricewaterhouseCoopers predicts that by 2030, it will have the 5th largest economy in the world. With its rapidly growing economy, Indonesia is in desperate need for young adults who have the power to make positive changes, who are able to create job sectors outside of the agriculture sector. It also needs young adults who have a keen awareness of the events happening around them, with the critical thinking skills to analyze these events and the ability to positively self-express these opinions in order to make a positive impact. However, this isn't what Indonesia's education system is building. Whereas its economy is undergoing rapid growth, Indonesia's education system has a lot of room for improvement. Thus, there's a disconnect between Indonesia's economy and its education system. What do you see when you walk into a typical Indonesian classroom? You see 30 or so students silently taking notes while the teacher lectures them in front of the class. There's a quietness and silence in an Indonesian classroom, and oftentimes this silence is considered respect. We, as students, are expected to obey our teachers in such a way that we aren't allowed to speak up and share our opinions. And this thick culture of respect strongly impacts our structure. The structure of the Indonesian education system isn't based on discussion, innovation, and creativity. Instead, it's based more on memorization and rote learning. Oftentimes, students know the right answer, but they don't know why it is the right answer. They memorize the concepts, but they don't understand it. In reality, a lot of teachers are now willing to listen to their students, and a lot of students are ready to speak up as well. But we have grown so used to this habit of silence that oftentimes it's so hard to build that bridge between teachers and students. Yong Chow, an education professor from the University of Kansas, put it this way. He said that the Asian model is extremely good at transmitting what we know, but it isn't very good at cultivating people to discover new things and giving them the confidence to create new ideas and knowledge. This is really real not only in Indonesia, but also across Asia, which means that more than half of the world's population falls victim into this kind of education system. This is the problem that we have right here today. Our thick culture of respect, combined with the stiff structure it results in, produces students who aren't prepared to make a positive impact on Indonesia. A few years back, my friends and I were complaining about this one teacher behind his back. And coincidentally, our homeroom teacher overheard us. And he suggested that we go to that teacher and talk to him about it, that we resolve any conflicts that we may have with him. However, we were shocked. We had never been given this kind of advice where we come to a teacher and express our opinions and speak up. And because of that, we were just really shocked and we didn't know how to follow that advice. The thing is, in Indonesian classrooms, the silence is deafening. Many students want to speak up, but they aren't being heard. Every single day, I hear my friends complain about school. But in class, they're quietly listening to their teachers, submitting. The silence in our classroom screams. It's a scream of help from students who want to be heard. Because when it comes to questions like who am I, what are my passions, what are my talents, we can't answer those questions. And we don't have the space yet to discover ourselves, to be aware of ourselves. The problem is that without self-discovery, there can be no self-awareness. And without self-awareness, there can be no self-expression. Whereas neuroscience is constantly teaching us that self-expression is one of the best ways to grow. So if schools aren't ready to allow their students to express themselves, how are they going to grow? And as a nation, how are we going to grow? This is what needs to change. Schools need to give each and every student a voice. I define student voice as the freedom for students to discover and express themselves. In a school where self-expression and student voice is the base, is the core of learning, students flourish. Because instead of just focusing on the curriculum, on memorization, on rote learning, schools are allowing students to have the freedom to learn about themselves and express themselves in any means they choose. But of course, the question is how? How do we build a place where school becomes a journey of self-discovery and self-expression, not just a place of studying and memorization? We can do this by changing our culture. And by reforming our culture, we allow schools to make a new structure, a more innovative one. And by doing so, we can build student voice. But the first step is, of course, to redefine respect. All this time, we've been defining respect as silence. But if we define respect as the considerate self-expression and tolerance of other expressions, we can create a new definition of respect that allows our structure to change. A few years back, I was called into the principal's office, and naturally, I thought I was in trouble. Surprisingly though, my principal called me because she wanted to listen to my opinions about how the school could change and improve. By this seemingly simple act, my principal taught me that I should have my own opinions and I should express them. She showed me what respect really means. By using this definition of respect, we can change our structure. The first step for teachers would be to innovate. Incorporate discussion and innovation and creativity in your classes. Ask us open-ended questions. Allow us to express ourselves. Secondly, listen. Listen to your students. Believe me, they have a lot to say. Listen to them and guide them to express their opinions in such a way that enhances the freedom of others. Allow them to discover themselves and speak up. Finally, establish change. Involve and engage your students in the decisions that are made around school. Show them that by expressing their opinions positively, they can make positive changes for the environment around them. For my fellow peers in Indonesia and even across Asia, let's be open-minded. Most of our teachers do care and they do want to change. But we have to do our part as well. Let's try to speak up. Let's try to discover and express ourselves in a way that benefits others just as much as it benefits ourselves. Now with this kind of process, we really can build student voice. Because by making our classes more innovative, we are allowing students to say that I have an opinion. But by listening to them and guiding them, we're telling them to express it politely and teaching them to discuss other opinions as well. And finally, by establishing change, we're teaching them that they can make a positive difference. And through this, we can truly build student voice. Albert Einstein once said that everybody's smart in different ways. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live the rest of its life believing it's stupid. So I encourage you, ladies and gentlemen, today to make schools a place where students are appreciated for their strengths and weaknesses, where they're allowed to discover what their talents are and what their weaknesses are, and where they can grow into them and use these talents and gifts to help others, to make a positive difference in the world. Because when we build student voice, When we show our students that we truly care about them, we're teaching them to fly. We're teaching them to fly beyond our definition of respect, to fly beyond the stiff structure our education system has. We're teaching them to fly to reach unimaginable heights. But the question is, of course, will you? Will you join me to make schools a paradise of learning, a journey of self-discovery and self-expression? Will you? Thank you.